Friday fun day here, the NBA tip-off show powered by WagerTalk.com. We've got 7 games on the slate here, and we've got a couple of spots you are definitely going to want to hear about here. Maybe some profitable opportunities and some line value as well as injuries you need to know. We've got you covered here on the NBA tip-off show. And lucky you guys, the Friday crew, 3 of the best over at WagerTalk.com. When it comes to talking hoops, you've got the prop god, Mr. Andy Lang, in the house. Ronald Kabang doing a little shoot around just a little while ago. Got all the what you need to know going on. And there he is, the man, the myth, the legend. His first time here in the NBA tip-off show. We welcome back in Mr. Teddy Covers here. Gentlemen, happy Friday to you. Let us dive right in with the contrarian gods like we do each and every show here, because they got a little bone to pick with Ski, but as usual, Ski decided not to show up and face the music. So instead, they are going to take a look at, yes, the Brooklyn Nets and the Chicago Bulls tonight. In fact, they're wondering why exactly the Nets getting 3.5 points right now, because that's who they like here. Andy, in this matchup here, Bulls home, Nets seem to be getting a little bit healthier here. I already know you side with the contrarian gods, that we would have it no other way. But is there anybody in particular you might be focusing on in the prop betting market in this one?
Yeah, of course we're going with that. Of course we're going with the contrarian gods. Nets are 2-2. They won 2 straight. Ben Simmons is looking good. Brooklyn is 6th in rebounding. The Bulls are 25th. It just goes without saying. I'm always going to be on the side of the contrarian gods. Nice little prop here, though. Nick Vucevic over 18.5 points. So when I'm looking at defense by position, I'm always paying attention to who's terrible against centers. Because if you're bad against centers, there's really not much you can do. Height, you can't really practice. So we're looking at some of these teams that defend centers, and the Nets are the worst right now. They give up the most points. Bam Adebayo had 21 points. Mark Williams had 18 points. Joe, Dwight Powell had 11 points in 13 minutes against them. When Dwight Powell's putting up 4 for 4 from the field coming off the bench, you're just not able to defend centers. This is a nice plus money matchup, too. You can get around plus 105, plus 110 on Vucevic. So I always like looking at these teams that struggle against center. So while I do think the Nets will cover and possibly win, I think Vucevic has a nice game here.
All right, little Vucevic focusing in there. How about you, Mr. Gabang? And we should mention, right, this is the start of the NBA in-season tournament, as if anybody who makes $35 million a year cares about 50,000. But it's an interesting fact here. I do want to know, in this game, though, it's been a rough stretch here. Another game on the road for Brooklyn. The contrarian gods think there might be some value there. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I like this Brooklyn play. They're coming into this game with a little bit of momentum, having won 2 games in a row. They've shown that they can do it with either offense or defense. They had 2 tough matchups to start the season. They had the Cavs, lost by 1 point there. Garland did play that game. They were missing Allen, but it was a tightly contested matchup there. The next game they had the Mavs, and the Mavs are now 4-0 to start the season. So they've had a couple of tough matchups, and then they won 2 in a row in the last 2. I don't trust this Bulls offense at all. They're averaging just 105.4 points per game. Their shooting percentage are towards the bottom of the league. One thing to note too is they do put up second chance points, right? They do well doing that, but the Nets are actually number 2 in the league in defensive rebounding percentage. So that might be limited for this Bulls team. The Bulls allowing opponents to shoot over 48% from the field, over 36 from 3. The Nets are one of the more efficient offenses in the league to start the season. So this is one situation where, typically I don't go against the contrarian gods anyways, but I actually really like this play with the Nets.
All right, see, so he's agreeing. That's the first time for everything. Kabang here, backing with the contrarian gods. Teddy, you know how it works here, my man. I can't wait to hear. Right off the bat, are you in agreement with the gods, or do you think Chicago's the right side here?
Well, no, my barking dog today is Chicago. So we'll talk about them again in just a few minutes. So, sorry, my barking dog today is Brooklyn against Chicago. I want no part of the Bulls right now as favorites. And I think Ronald made a lot of the key points here. When you're talking about an offense that goes in spits and spurts, the spurs and fits. I mean, it really is not an offense that's clicking on all cylinders. Brooklyn's defensive numbers are mediocre. And yet, when I've watched the Nets this year, I've been impressed with the defensive intensity more than any other factor. Perhaps it comes down to fourth quarter execution. This is supposed to be a tight game. When opposing teams turn up their defense against Chicago, we just saw it in Dallas in their last game. When opposing teams play fourth quarter defense, Chicago has no options. DeRozan dribble in a lot and then jacking up a shot at the shot clock buzzer. That's their offense during crunch time. And that's not a team I want to lay 3.5 with tonight.
I kind of can't agree with you there, or can't disagree with you there. Rather, the contrarian gods have spoken, and the Brooklyn Nets is who they are focusing in on. Now, there is a game, of course, a primetime matchup that a lot of folks are going to be looking at, and that is going to involve who else? The New York Knicks going to be taking on the Milwaukee Bucks. Still trying to figure out how the Bucks got their ass whooped by Toronto the other night, but such is life. Welcome to the NBA. 5.5, kind of remaining steadfast here. Not a whole lot of movement. Teddy, I'm going to come back to you here for this primetime affair. What do you think? Bounce back spot for Milwaukee, or you think the Knicks rather handled business?
I mean, the Bucks have covered 1 point spread this year, by 0.5 point, by the way. So it's not like the markets have appropriately priced Milwaukee coming into the season. They've been something of an overvalued commodity. And let's make it, let's be real. Come April or May, the Bucks are going to be there. Far more than the Knicks are. But right now, you've got a Bucks team that's still figuring out their way on both ends of the floor with Damian Lillard at the point. That's a big difference for them. That Holiday and the way he plays defense versus Lillard, there's going to be growing pains for Milwaukee. They've said that there's going to be growing pains. And the Knicks are coming off a bad showing of their own. I mean, I understand that we saw Toronto beat up on Milwaukee the other day, but the Knicks lost the back end of a home-and-home with Cleveland in a game where they didn't play well. Randall couldn't hit a shot, et cetera, et cetera. No surprise here. The Knicks have brought the defense every night. And defensive underdogs sometimes catch my interest. I'd rather have the Knicks and the Bucks here, but it's not a game that I bet.
All right, going to be some eyeballs on it here. And how about it, Mr. Kabang? Is there a side, maybe a total in this game you are leaning to? The market doesn't seem to know what the hell to do with this game at this point.
Yeah, I think Teddy touched on a lot of stuff about this game, but I mean, both of these teams really have been pretty inconsistent to start the season. I think both teams have alternated wins and losses, so no consecutive wins or no consecutive losses. That's how inconsistent they are at this point. But I think everyone was really excited about this Bucks team pairing, Giannis and Dame. But to me, I think they've actually come together a little bit quicker than expected on the offensive side of the ball. But a lot of people mentioned, trading Drew for Lillard, the offenses versus defense, and that's where everything is really apparent, right? The Bucks are towards the bottom of the league in defensive rating. They're either 29th or 30th at this point. And through 4 games, they've allowed their opponents to go over their team total in each one of them. They're allowing 122 points per game, giving up at least 114 in each of the games to start the season. Another thing that bodes well for the Knicks too, the Bucks struggle with turnovers, and the Knicks are actually one of the top teams as far as scoring off of turnovers. So that's one thing that they have going for them. I know Barrett has been a little bit iffy the last few games, but he did play 24 minutes against the Cavs. I think he's really stepped up this season, especially from the 3-point line. His shooting percentage has gone up. And he looks like it's something that he worked on in the offseason that could stick throughout the whole regular season. So that's a big plus for this Knicks team. I do have my best bet on this game, but for me, it's either from a side perspective, it's a Knicks or nothing.
Oh, look, Julius Randle took another shot and missed. Andy, what's going on here? Game hasn't even started yet already. Maybe we should look at him, Andy, for over 40 shots in a game. It works for Jordan Poole. What are you looking at from a prop betting perspective here tonight with the Knicks and the Bucks? Who you got circled for us?
Well, this Knicks team, you can pick a couple guys. I mean, Brunson, he's not scared to take a bad shot. This Knicks team is really confusing. I've unfortunately watched a lot of them, and they can be really, really terrible. Randall, Hart, and Grimes went 2 for 17 from 3-pointers the other night. Brunson's shooting 38% from the field right now. He shot 49% from the field last year. And then you've got a Bucks team. They're just slow. Like Middleton, I don't know if he's going to ever get back to close to what he was, but he's, minutes restriction. And you take away Giannis, and I'm not really sure where the talent is outside of Dame here. It's kind of below average roster when you get past Dame and Giannis. They have the worst defensive efficiency in the league. And I mean, if you can't stop anybody, I will have to take the Knicks as a little bit of a stab. But I do think the shooting kind of regresses back. Quentin Grimes is my favorite prop in this game. I like him over 1.5 3-pointers. Great price, even money or minus 105. He's 3 of 15 the last 3 games, and he's a career 38% shooter from threes. He's not as bad as he's been the last few times. And Milwaukee, they allow 14.8 made 3-pointers a game. Only Washington and Memphis are worse. The Knicks are going to get open 3-pointers. Brunson should have no problem finding open guys. So Grimes has had 6 3-point attempts in 2 of the last 3 games. So if he gets 6 3-point attempts tonight, they're probably going to be pretty wide open, and he's going to regress back. He's not going to keep shooting at the clip of 3 of 15. So I think it's a pretty nice get-right game for the Knicks offense. Give me Grimes over 1.5 made 3-pointers tonight.
All right, going with a 3-point prop there, and Knicks taking on the Bucks here. It sounds like could very well be another disappointing Knicks night here, or maybe not. Milwaukee Bucks still trying to figure it out. We do have an overtime game we're going to get to here, and I do want to suggest those of you joining us for the very first time here at WagerTalk TV and the NBA Tip-Off Show, if it's NBA content you like, it's NBA content we have for you, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, become part of the WagerTalk TV family. We've got you covered every day of the week when it comes to NBA matchups, everything you need to know right here on the WagerTalk YouTube page. So go ahead, become part of the family. And for those of you lunatics joining us live in the chat room, you know the routine. Smash that like button, and let's get an overtime game going here. And who better to look at than the Pacers, who are either going to score 140 or 70, one or the other. And we've got, of course, the Cavs happening here tonight. And it does appear that the Cavs are going to get some reinforcements. This total has been starting to creep up, leading one to believe that maybe the market thinks one Halliburton might go, and at the very least, the Cavaliers are going to get some guys back. So, Teddy, the total hovering right around that, 226 mark, opened up at 223.5. Are you in agreement with the market? You think over is the way to go here?
It's a hard total. Look, I mean, last year, we're talking about Indiana, number 3 in the NBA in pace, and Cleveland dead last, number 30 in the NBA in pace. This year, Indiana's right where they were. They're actually number 2 in the NBA in pace. They're playing faster than they were a year ago. But Cleveland, rather than being dead last, they're kind of middle of the pack. And certainly, we saw these two teams play earlier this year. 125, 113, flew over the total. And that was with the Cavs having a 12-point quarter in that game. It's, with one team getting 12 and a quarter, to fly over the total by that tells us how fast the pace really was. Now, given the results of that ball game, Indiana won by double digits, one would think that Cleveland is not going to try to do that this time around. The money's coming in based on, I think, the over money's coming in based on the injury report. It looks like Darius Garland, he's still listed as questionable. He wasn't shoot around. There's a decent chance he's going to play. But without Halliburton on the floor, I'm not playing this over. And right now, I don't know if he's going to play. So we're going to have to wait and see. If he does hit the floor, bet it quick because the money's going to come with him. But there's certainly a scenario in which I would expect points to be scored, much like the last time these two teams met.
Yeah, it's and it could very well come. We're not hearing one way or the other there, Ronald, on if Halliburton's going. I mean, Jared Allen is interesting too. Maybe the defense steps up here a little bit for Cleveland. Garland going. Both you had mentioned we're at the shoot around. But even at 226, if he doesn't go, is it inflated? Is it possible under in your mind here?
Yeah, I mean, typically when you see a Pacers team in a matchup, you want to look towards the over. But seeing Cavs potentially at full strength with Garland and Allen possibly playing, I would look towards the under in this one. And there's a few reasons why. I know, I did this the other day with the Pelicans and the Thunder where I thought the total was going in the wrong direction. I think this one is too. I think this is a situation where the Cavs match up well with the Pacers, but for me, I would only take the under if Allen is in there, and I think he's gonna make it. I mean, showing up at shoot around, being able to do that, and as well as Garland too. I think they show up. But the Cavs were the number one defensive rated team in the league last season, and that was when they're fully healthy, and they were even better at home. With this potentially being Allen's first game back, there might be some issues offensively, right? They got to get into a groove offensively. But defensively, he's a game changer in the paint, and that's going to happen from the get-go. And not only you get himself back, but when you put him and you pair him with Mobley in the interior defense, it's just much better with them together than they are apart. And the Pacers, most of their damage is done inside the paint. They're averaging 59 points per game in the paint through 4 games. That's almost 50% of their point production. So if they struggle in the paint, I got to think that this stays under.
All right, possible under there, guys. Once we get confirmation, maybe a little overinflated at this point if Jared Allen is in. What about it, Andy? Nobody knows this Pacers team like you do, which is probably why you disowned them years ago. So what are you looking at in this one here, though? Pace will be there. Points going to be there for you. Who are you looking at?
Well, I'm looking at 3 numbers. 155. That is the 155 points they let Boston score the other night. So I guess it's pretty hard for me to take an under when I got a team that's, letting teams get to that 150 mark. Let's say they really, really hunker down and play good defense and they hold Cleveland to 145. I still think the game goes over a little bit. I mean, they're terrible against centers. They're terrible against guards. You cannot name a position that they're great against. I guess I would just say if Halliburton is in, look to take this game over. I would just wait for news on Halliburton. This team is so dependent on him, and if he is in, I do think it does go over. They will get out and run, and that's one of the best ways to neutralize the interior defense of guys like Allen and Mobley is that get out and move. Like, kind of same with Philadelphia. Like Maxey wants to run, but Embiid's not running with him. So you get teams that want to try and outrun the 76ers. And I think you can do that against this Cleveland team. So I would just pause and wait and see what Halliburton's status is. If he's in, I'm taking the over. If he's out, it's probably just a pass for me.
All right, keep an eye on that one, guys. Pacers taking on Cavs, 7 o'clock tip East Coast time here tonight. And that brings us to the part of the program where that sound you hear are probably the dogs barking, Robert.
That's my dog. That's my dog. That's my dog. That's my dog. And anybody got to say anything, you let me know. That's my dog.
All right, some interesting ones to choose from here tonight. We talked some Knicks. We talked some Pacers here. We got the Mavs. We've got Portland as a home dog, the Wizards, the Oklahoma City Thunder. A lot of different ways that we can approach this with the dogs barking. Teddy, I think you hinted to this earlier, but explain the dog barking tonight for you on the card.
Sure, we're going to take a look at Brooklyn plus the points in Chicago. And let's just start with this, all right? Nets are 4-0 ATS this season. All right, the markets have not priced them correctly yet. I'm not convinced they're going to be pricing them correctly anytime soon. Now, they do have back-to-back wins. They rallied from behind to beat Miami the other night. That was a game that Miami dug deep and Brooklyn hit shots. And they're capable of doing that here. In my mind, there's a lot of similarities in some ways between Miami and Chicago. They're two solid defensive teams that have some offensive issues right now. And Chicago has all kinds of offensive issues. You know, Toronto, where they have a 25-0 run spanning the second and third quarter the other night. Chicago's loss in Dallas, the same type of story. When the opposing team turn up the defensive intensity, both offense just doesn't work. And I think the Nets, the Ben Simmons-led Nets, are playing defense right now. And with a team made of shooters and defenders, I think that matches up well against Chicago. That's how Brooklyn's built. They're built to hit threes and get stops. This is a team they can do it against. So, yeah, Nets live dogs.
Nets live dogs here. And welcome in, I believe, Trey knows. And with a name like Trey knows, he probably knows that he's all over the Nets with you there. So welcome in, Trey. He definitely is in the know, but so is Mr. Kabang. And I've got a feeling he's got an interesting dog here tonight. Where did you look on the card here for the dog barking tonight, Ronald?
Yeah, I'm actually looking towards the Mavs. From what I've seen, they're going to get Kyrie back today as well. One thing with the Nuggets is how they've struggled historically. Going from a road game to a home game since 2020, they've failed to cover in these spots 60% of the. And if it's a home game off a one-off road game, so the whole travel spot elevation and all that stuff, it's actually they failed to cover in 65% of those spots, and it shows that the travel situation for the Nuggets is something that you should take into consideration when you cap them. The Nuggets also struggling from the perimeter this season. I think they're actually dead last in the league in free throw percentage as well. These are little things that you want to look into as far as momentum. On the offensive side of the ball, the Mavs, they've looked really good offensively to start the season. I know they missed Kyrie the last two games, but they looked good with him in the first two games against the Spurs and the Nets. This is I think defensively there might be a gap between these two teams, but the Mavs struggle to create turnovers. The Nuggets are on the better one of the better teams as far as defensive perimeter defense, but I think the Mavs offense have a lot of momentum on their side, and they should be able to stick with this team here.
Mavs, it is going into Denver. Could very well be barking loudly here tonight. And Andy, how about you, my man? Couple of interesting other games on the board here tonight. Any of them barking at you here?
Absolutely. Give me those 3.5 points with the Portland Trailblazers.
Woo!
Yeah, what are the Grizzlies doing being road favorites 3.5? I mean, they can't even win, let alone cover. They just lost by 22 to Utah. 2 road games, lost to Washington, and lost, but Utah, not 22, 24. It was worse than that. So first off, I don't understand why the Grizzlies are favored. Then you look and they go, oh, wow, well, Scoot Henderson is out. That must be a big loss for Portland. Well, Scoot is struggling a little bit. He averages 8 points, okay? Not a lot. The problem is he averages 4.5 fouls and 4.5 turnovers per game. He's averaging 9 fouls and turnovers and 8 points. So I'm not sure that this is a huge downgrade with Scoot Henderson that is out right there. I just think this Portland Trailblazers team has got some guys that can put up points, in this Memphis Grizzlies team I just want nothing to do with. I mean, this team's not good. Marcus Smart is turning the ball over at an alarming rate. They're on the road. It's just I can't possibly envision going in there and actually hitting submit on the Memphis Grizzlies minus 3.5 on the road to anybody. So give me the Portland Trail Blazers minus Scoot Henderson. I'm not sure it's that big of a loss without him in there tonight.
They laughed at you, Andy, when you took Portland a couple of nights ago, and they ended up winning outright as your dog.
Yes,
I'm just saying. So don't be laughing that hard here. Portland at home as a dog tonight for Andy's barking dog. All right, that leaves us Best bet time. We got 3 best bets. We got 60 seconds on the clock. You guys know how this works. Do whatever you want with that 60. Just drop us a best bet here. And Teddy, welcome back, my man. Kick us off here with a big swish for a best bet. Where are you rolling tonight?
Let's talk about the Mavs and the Nuggets, a game that Ronald Kabang just broke down a moment ago. And I'm going to agree with him 100%. I think Dallas is a live dog in this one. And really, I understand that the Mavs are 4-0. It has very little to do with that. And I understand Denver's coming off a bad game, which is generally you want to back a team off a bad game, off a team on a winning streak. I get both of those factors. But from a situational standpoint for Denver, let's not forget, Denver played into June. Everyone else was off in April and May. So they played more games than anybody else did last year. Since the start of the season, 6 games in 9 nights, all on different floors. 4 games the last 6 nights, all on different floors, travel between each one of them. This isn't a deep team this year. And you read the quotes out of that locker room, they're gassed right now, already. That's what happened in Toronto, and I think it might be what happens at home tonight against Dallas. Give me the Mavs plus the points.
Love it. And he nailed it right at the buzzer. Nobody does the step back 3 quite like Teddy here on the show. Fantastic stuff. Mr. Kabang, come on, you won't be outdone here. Nothing but net for you as well. Best bet. Where are you looking here tonight?
I'm looking towards the Knicks team total over 109.5. The Bucks are at the bottom of the league in defensive rating. I talked about that earlier. Through 4 games, opponents are over their team total in all of them. They've given up at least 114 points in each game. On the other side, on the Knicks side, there were 2 game season where the Knicks scored less than 90, but both of those games were on the second leg of back-to-back games, playing on no rest. They've only faced one other team in the league that's been in the bottom 10 of defensive rating, and that was against the Hawks. They put up 126 against that team, and the Bucks are a little bit worse defensively there. I believe the Knicks easily clear the 110. I think one thing to mention as well, since I got 20 seconds, my show here on the WagerTalk channel, NBA Assists, every Tuesday and Thursday. I give out all my condensed notes. Hopefully, if we get enough viewers, a lot of people, request for it. It could be an everyday thing. So make sure you guys check out NBA Assists Tuesdays and Thursdays for now.
Boom! Again, with a couple of seconds left, just so you could wave to the crowd. Well done, Mr. Kabang. As always there, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're new here, because you'll get notified and have access to all the NBA content like Ronald's series of videos each and every week. So knowledge is power, guys. Nobody's got more of it than we do here at WagerTalk TV. So smash that subscribe button. And for those of you hanging out in the live chat, go ahead, you know what to do. Smash that like button as Andy gets ready. Taking the ball from half court, Andy. Where are you going for a best bet here tonight, my man?
Well, it's terrifying when we're all about the Nets tonight. That's where my best bet is. I got a player prop in this one. Yeah, I know. It's just like, oh no, here we go. We're all on the Nets. Like, what's gonna happen? I like Mikal Bridges, and I like his 7.5 rebounds plus assists. He's averaging 5.7 rebounds. He's averaging 3.7 assists. He's had 12 rebounds and assists and 11 rebounds and assists the last 2 games. The Chicago Bulls team, 22nd in rebounds allowed per game. Brooklyn's number 1, actually, so they do a pretty good job preventing the other team from rebounding. And Chicago's 23rd in assists allowed per game. I'm kind of enjoying this Nets team. I kind of find them fun to watch. They're not dependent on one person. You see Ben Simmons getting a lot of the players involved. Mikal Bridges, it's not just go through him. I know there's one other guy on the team that shoots quite a bit, but Bridges keeps his teammates involved. He rebounds. Give me over 7.5 rebounds, assists. Best bet.
All right. There you got it here, guys. S. Worry wants to know what the best bet. Stop it. You know it's the Miami Heat. You would never come back if I said it was anything else there. Let's recap it one more time for you guys. Let's check it out. Here is Andy's dog tonight. Woof. It is Portland. His best bet is Mikal Bridges over 7.5 rebounds and assists. Mr. Kabang likes Dallas as his dog. Best bet's going to be that Knicks team total over 109.5, while Teddy He looking with the contrarian gods at the Brooklyn Nets here tonight. His best bet, he's in agreement. There is dogs barking on this card tonight. It may very well begin with the Dallas Mavericks. So there you have it, guys. All sorts of games and opportunities, 7 games total on the slate. Couple of different opportunities for you. And, of course, we'll be back again on Monday with another edition, full week loaded. We got college basketball starting on Monday, so the college basketball tip-off show will start next week. Of course, the NBA tip-off show. And, again, if you are new here to Wager Talk TV, just go ahead and hit that video that's on your screen right now, and you'll have access to all of those matchup videos throughout the week, plus best bets across the board on all sports. Become part of the Wager Talk TV family. On behalf of Andy, Ronald, and Mr. Teddy Covers, guys, we appreciate the time. Best of luck all weekend long. We'll talk to you again on Monday. Good luck.